Just talk about that. Just talk about that.
The best person in the world at doing panels, of course, was Betsy Palmer. Betsy Palmer would have each and every one of you laughing so hard that you would literally fall out of your chairs. And I wish I could do that, but I can tell you about it. She would, you know, I'm kind of a ray of sunshine, if you will. And then she would come in and tell some rather, you know, rough jokes, if you will, and get everybody, and make me blush. I would be all like, "What did you say?" And everyone would be laughing very hard right now.
Yeah.
So let's hear it for Betsy Palmer, who played my mom in Friday the 13th, and also shares the same birth date as my mom, November 1st. So
She didn't make it very far into the
so
second.
much is what you. Mama Voorhees didn't make it past the first one.
No.
Correct. No.
Well, didn't you in the first few scenes of the second movie?
As a flashback,
Yeah, flashback.
she's not actually alive there.
No.
But no, I mean, in that sense, she made it into other films too. And she's in the after world.
We just lost her like a year ago, didn't we? Or
No,
years
it's
ago?
more than that. Sadly, it's closer to 7
Was it that long
years
ago?
ago.
Oh, goodness.
But you know, I did get to be good buddies with her, and that was so much fun. Just to give you some insight, the first time I ever did a event like this, it was Fangoria Chiller Theater at the Meadowlands, and there must have been 7,000 people there. Not to, you know, I'm not making any comparisons. This was like too much. And I got there because and it was just a room like this. Of course, they said, okay, you go in there, and Betsy's going to be in there because we haven't opened the doors yet. And so there she is, you know. Now, this is the first time I met her because we weren't on the set together. This was at a Chiller Theater event years later. And so I just walked right up to her, and I put my arms out, and I just said, "Mom," just like that. And this is Betsy Palmer. She just put me in her arms, and she held me tight, and she gave me the nicest hug. And then she put her arms on my shoulders and said, "Now who the hell are you?" So she's gonna hug you first and then find out who you are. But that's who Betsy Palmer was. And then when she found out who I was, sure enough, she gave me another hug. She said, "Oh!" And then we became really good buddies for a lot of reasons. We did a lot of the same things, and we just got a lot along together. And she, like, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, after work we're gonna get some steak and this," but she's vegetarian, I'm vegetarian. So we would say, "Oh, we're gonna get some Italian food or some Chinese food." "Oh, okay." And we would go off together, and she would tell me all these great stories, and she felt she could tell me just about anything, and vice versa. So, you know, she was, of course, I don't know, some people don't realize this, but she was James Dean's girlfriend for 2 months. They lived together in New York City while he was shooting a live television episode with her, which you can see on YouTube. I think it's called Witness to a Murder or Witness to a Kill. Anyway, it was live television, like Saturday Night Live. And you know, sometimes when they're shooting live, they're broadcasting live. We don't have the advantage of editing, so it's live. It's being broadcast live to millions of people in New York City. So here they are, and again, here's some insight. At one point, it became very clear that James Dean forgot his lines. And he's playing a man who's accused of a murder, who didn't do the murder, but Betsy's the only person who, I don't want to ruin it for you, but she's the only one who knows what really happened. And she's sitting there watching, and something happens, and then he's circumstantial evidence, it looks like. But anyway, so he forgot his lines. And you're seeing, like, and she goes, "You were going to say this," and then she says his line to him, and you just see his shoulders just like look at her like, oh, and that's a look of love. And she saved his butt there on live television, and there you go. So, but of course, I'm Ari Lehman, not Betsy Palmer, and all that.
Ari Lehman, everybody.
Hi. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Ari, for being with us here this weekend at Cape. We really appreciate it. We know anybody who's been seeing the lineup of fans that want to meet Ari, we've been watching them as much as we've been watching you for the last couple of hours, which is great. And I guess there's a lot of folks from around the area, like Quebec and Eastern Ontario, that you don't get to see very often, and they've come down here to see you, which is great.
Oh, I'm so gratified.
Yeah.
I'm very, very gratified. Yeah, we have not been doing enough shows in this region, so we intend to change that. But I would say this event seems to be a focal point, if you will, and certainly a lot of wonderful people have come out, and I'm just so happy to meet everybody.
Right on.
It's very humbling, to tell you the truth.
I'm going to just kind of get things started. I'm sure there's a few questions out there, but why don't we kind of ask that one question? I mean, you were in at the end of Friday the 13th, the original movie back in 1980, I guess it was. Did you guys film that in '79 or?
Yes. Yes, filmed in the summer of 1979. The original scene that I was in, the way I got in the movie, going back a little bit, Sean Cunningham, the director, lived in the same town, Westport, Connecticut, where I went to junior high and high school. And I like to play soccer, and I like to act. So some of my buddies have been in one of his movies, which was a takeoff on the Bad News Bears. It was called Here Come the Tigers. It was about baseball, and it did okay. He was trying to kind of shed his horror image after Last House on the Left, which is rather grisly. So in an effort to do that, so then he had this idea, what about a soccer movie? And the script is really good. It was called Manny's Orphans originally. It was about a ragtag bunch of inner city orphans who win back their orphanage from the mob in a soccer tournament. And as I can see from your reaction right now, like nobody, it didn't go anywhere. So it wasn't going anywhere because no one cared about soccer in America at all. I mean, the New York Cosmos were in this movie, but no. So I get a call, and it's Sean. Ari, we've only got this much money left, this much time left. I got this idea. He goes, it's a horror movie. Come on down, to the studio. And that's basically it, Oh, and then he said, can you swim? I said, yes, I can swim. He goes, you got the part. I mean, that was it. Yeah. So, but mind you, even in the script, the first thing an actor does, of course, is to count his lines. And in Manny's Orphans, I had 80 lines as Roger. So I was so happy about that. Friday the 13th, I'm going through the script. I'm like, going through the script. There's no lines, and then, he says to me, well, you're going to be the monster. So I was like, well, that's cool. I like that idea. But even so, it was only the scene where I was the flashback because it was supposed to be a dream. Yeah. Okay. This whole idea of Jason being a actual monster was not there yet. Maybe I thought of that. But the thing is that, she's saying his name was Jason, and today is his birthday. He wasn't a very good swimmer. And you say, I like, kill her, Mommy, don't let her get away. That was it. That was supposed to be the only presence of Jason in cinematic history. That's it. But as a kid, I went home, I was like, this sucks. I just drowned in a movie. I mean, what is that? I'm like, wow, a great portrayal of drowning child. I'm like, they're just going to keep recasting me. Like, well, we need a kid to drown. Go, Aubrey. So, but that didn't happen. What happened was they saw the movie Carrie. Now, when I say they, I think it was really Tom.
Okay.
But of course, I don't want to be in a room with Sean and Victor and Tom and say that, because they all say it was them. They all say, I thought of this ending, so whatever. But I think it was Tom. Anyway, so they say, in October now, we had finished shooting in August of 1979, so now it's October. And I get ring, you know, again, and I'm like, I can still swim. And they're like, so we want you to come back to the set and get in the lake again. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, but he did say this on the phone. You will have your revenge. And you know, as a little actor, that was just like, oh, I was like, that gave me like big black leathery wings. I was like, yeah. So I just started envisioning that whole idea. So to me, it was said, you know, you're going to have your revenge. So the way that I envisioned that scene was as this reanimated swamp thing, I don't know, creature from the Black Lagoon. There's a million references. Now what do you have? The Shape of Water, maybe? No. But so he comes back, and, you know, the drop of blood goes into the water, you know, very alchemical. She's calling to him through the other world, through the world, the underworld, and it all made perfect sense to me. You know, he's a vengeance ghost or a reanimated, you know, it wasn't about zombies and all that back then. It was, you know, so it made perfect sense to me. But that's not what Sean wanted. Sean said, this is a dream sequence. This isn't really happening. And I was visibly upset by that. But Tom Savini took me aside. He said, look, if you're a ghost in a dream, you still have the conviction that you're a ghost. You don't think you're a ghost in a dream. And that made perfect sense to a little kid. And I was like, fine. He's like, play it that way if you want, but stop annoying Sean. So I was like, fine. And everything went. And even as I've told the story before, Sean says to me, now you're not going to be able to hear me say action when you're underwater. So, Ari, you're the director of this scene. And whatever he said after that was like, I was like, I'm the director. I just kept walking back, and I was like, And I remember thinking, if I have the power to make this decision, then as an actor, I'm going to make the decision that I'm coming out of the water like a horror monster. I'm not coming out as something like to have sympathy for. Because I thought about this, and I thought about how, as a human family, we have to include every member of our family, and not think that anyone doesn't have powers that they probably have, like the way we do with old people sometimes. Because now I work with seniors, and I'll tell you, old people have powers that you better watch out for. You try to lie to a 90-year-old woman, and it's not going to work. And I have a lot of 90-year-old friends now, because I run a community center in Chicago. And they're going to be playing bingo tomorrow and wondering where I am. But so I felt like I'm representing kids like that. And that I wanted to say, you know, okay, all you perfect, normal kids like Adrian look like, you know, this is the message. It's a real message of vengeance. So that's what I was bringing, and there was weight to it. Kevin Bacon asked me, I was looking into the water, the dark water, looking in there. He's like, what are you doing, Ari? And I was like, getting into character. And he looked at me like, he was afraid. I mean, I was into it. I was way in there. So maybe in that moment, and see, this is also when it was cognizant to me that I did not have words to work with. So I had body language to work with, and then I had my eyes to work with, but then Tom said, no, sorry, but one of your eyes is going to be a glass eye. So I had one eye to work with. Okay, so I had one eye to work with and body language, and that was about it. So I knew that I just had to internalize it so much. And the same way that Betsy had a whole backstory, or, see, I said backstory to her once, and she said, that's not what, it's like, she said it's a character, you know, it's a person, and it's like their personal history, and that's who they are, and that's the unspoken conversation. So there you go. So when I went out in the water, Adrian had not seen my mask. Tom was not ready for me to jump out of the water. Sean told me, okay, we're rolling. So I walked out of the water. I knew they were rolling. I made the decision on my own that I'm going to come out all gangbusters. And if you see now in the magic of the GIF, you can see they've taken 2 scenes and edited them together. You see me coming out at a mid-distance, and then all of a sudden it goes in tight. And it's this green shot, and my arm actually hits Adrian King, wham! And she goes, whoa! And just when she changes her facial expression, they edit it back, and then I'm back doing this again. So what they did was they took the first take and they sandwiched it in the middle, and they edited it just when Adrian changed her facial expression. So the actual registering of true fear and shock as she looked at Tom Savini's work, and she probably thought, oh my God, this kid is messing up the whole shot. That's what she thought, because she grabbed me and she said a word I can't repeat and fell out of the boat. And, you know, so Tom, or actually Sean Cunningham in this case, was a very good director, because he knew how I would feel empowered, but he knew how to do that without telling everyone else there what I was about to do. So in a way, it was a secret between me and him, what was going to happen. And one of the most difficult things on screen is belying the fact that you know what's about to happen. And how to convince another actor to do that is what a great director can do. So there you go, Sean. But, you know, if you look at, there's different directors who have taken a million approaches to that, Fellini, et cetera, et cetera. How do you make it fresh? How do you make it happen? So anyway, I mean, that moment, once we played that moment, and many horror movies kind of tried to do it again, but, you know, it's like Tom used to say, it's kind of like a haunted house thing. They used, you know, misdirection, and once that's played, if you go into a haunted house again and you know what's coming, you know, so we gave it one shot, and I think that it worked for that film.
I know it did, and I can tell you, I can't speak for anybody else here, but Ari, I did not swim for a decade after I watched that movie at the camp. So
Are you being honest? Are you being
seriously?
Like
seriously.
not in little ponds, you know?
Never,
But yes, no, there's a running water safety theme, really. I mean, it's like the buddy system should not be ignored at any time. Or, you know, I had true regret that I might have made people afraid of going swimming, which is one thing I love doing. I love swimming in ponds and lakes and everything. But I'm sure of course, across the country and all over the world, people say, don't go in the pond because Jason's in there, you know.
You're forgiven.
Okay. I'm here to apologize.
Is there any questions for Ari? I'm sure there's 1,000 of them, but this is your panel with Ari, so if you have a question, go ahead.
It's your panel with Ari.
I want to say that I'm on COVID that for a year after I saw that scene, I had nightmares. So you
Sorry.
did have an incredible impact.
Come here, man. No, I know. Yeah. Well,
I'm sure you hear that all the time, Ari, that you haven't, that's
Well, I mean,
one
movies-
scene that had such an impact.
movies are kind of like a shared dream. You know, we go into this place, especially back then, you know, where it's, they turn the lights off and we're all here watching together and we don't really know what's going to happen. And some of the things are abstract and imagistic and a lot of different, yeah, so sorry. But I always say it's Freddy, man. Freddy's in the dream world. Jason is real. Oh, sorry, microphone. Yes.
At the back, go ahead.
Yeah, what if Freddy was as real as Jason?
I've often wondered that. And what that would just break the conceptual barrier, the fourth wall. The fourth wall would be broken. And what would we do? We'd have to build a fifth wall. No, but I do think that we could look forward to a new installation of Freddy versus Jason, which may answer some of those questions. I hope so. I don't know. Right there.
Go ahead.
Who's your favorite Friday the 13th final?
Oh my gosh, I can't. My favorite. Well, of course, I have to say Adrian, right? I love Adrian Kate. Amy Steele is fantastic too. I think, you know, and you know, but of course the woman of Friday the 13th to me is Pamela Voorhees. You know, I mean, because I'm on the other side of that whole thing. As you know, you were dressed as Jason today. But no, thank you. There's so many great actresses that have really carried the heavy load. They've done the heavy lifting in Friday the 13th, the female actresses, starting with Betsy and Adrian and Amy and all the way down the line. You know, Jason just comes in, it's like, oh, I'll fall over this, and, you know, whoop, you know, it's kind of a big, clumsy guy who doesn't say anything. But, you know, the actresses have done a fair part, except for, of course, Tommy Jarvis, you know, has his own place in the series, you know, so.
My question for you, you were talking about the movie that was made just before that with Sean, and with the soccer movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes along Friday the 13th. Was the expectation that for Sean and the rest of the cast and crew and producers, was there an expectation that this movie would be better than some of the others, or was going to spawn so many sequels, or what was the expectation when it was done filming?
Oh, no, not whatsoever. They were shocked, in fact, and I know from, you know, business things that are boring to talk about, that for sure they greatly underestimated what the reaction would be by the fans. But then if you look at it, Victor and Sean borrowed elements from Jaws, from Halloween, you know, from other films. So I think that there's a lot to be said that they were building something based on how the fans, or had things that the fans had previously loved, you know, bringing those things together in a kind of, you know, premeditated way. But also, they were just trying to create a movie that people could have fun watching together. I think that's one of the things, too, about Friday the 13th. It's not like a deep, thinky movie. It's like, let's have fun watching a movie together, you know, and that seemed to work.
There you go. Any questions? Any more from our audience? Yes, go ahead.
Who was your inspiration in horror? Like, what scared you when you
Well, I remember being at summer camp and saying to my friends, you know, my favorite Dracula is Bela Lugosi. And then, you know, some of my friends were like, no, Christopher Lee. And I was like, who's that? And they were like, look, you got to watch this one. And, you know, so I love that. I mean, I loved Phantom of the Opera. I loved The Mummy. You know, I'm kind of into classic horror. But also, one of my favorite movies of all time is Night of the Hunter, starring Robert Mitchum. To me, this was directed by Charles Laughton. This is, to me, a turning point in horror. And of course, Charles Laughton was British, but this, to me, is about American themes, because it's no longer a kind of gothic theme of, you know, the decaying aristocracy, or the, you know, the mad doctor gone crazy. It's actually an itinerant priest who's driving across the country, you know, seducing and murdering widows and talking to God. And this is where the character, he has the word hate and love tattooed to his knuckles. And that's where that comes from. It comes from the movie Night of the Hunter, starring the great actor Robert Mitchum. So yeah, please watch that. Also, the use of music in that movie is absolutely amazing, you know, and it's just, yeah, it's just stunning, you know, like him singing. Every time he comes out, he sings this old gospel song, lean in, on the everlasting arms. So this leads to that. Anyone who's seen the movie is now getting goosebumps, because when he shows up and starts perfect set, lovely song, you know, everything's about to go wrong. So. I'll
Tell
leave it
us,
at that.
tell us a little bit about First Jason, the band.
Perfect segue, my man.
As you were singing
Yes.
it, let's talk about music.
Jason is watching and he sees everything you do. Yeah, we sing a little different things. First Jason, and Johnny and Gabriel are musicians in First Jason. Right there is Fabian here. I play a guitar that's on a giant machete, and I've written all kinds of wonderful songs about Jason. Jason is watching. Machete is my friend. We've put out Sink or Swim. We just wrote a new. First Jason Voorhees is the name. We were at Lucky 13 Saloon in Brooklyn, New York. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's a lot of fun. And we packed the place, which was a lot. Was that a First Jason shirt? He's wearing a First Jason shirt right there. What am I talking about? But we packed the place, and I'm very proud of the band now. Everybody's working very hard, and because I have a auditorium that I can practice in, we're practicing all the time. And so we put out 3 albums. The first one's called Jason is Watching. The second one is Heed My Warning. The third one is To Be a Monster. And we're now working on a 4th one called Lord of the Lake at Uptown Recording in Chicago. Right now, Nonpoint is in there. I don't know if anyone knows this band, Nonpoint. It's a new metal band. So after they're done, we're going to jump in there and do our new album, Lord of the Lake. And so we did a song called Voorhees is the name. Now that video, we did a live video of that at Lucky 13, and that's got lots of thousands of views. So we want everybody to watch that. And I play a guitar that's on a giant machete. Did I mention that?
You mentioned that, yeah.
Okay.
So we can see the band playing tonight.
Oh,
at
that's
La
right.
Maison.
Correct. You have to come. We're
Yeah,
going to
9
be at La
o'clock.
Maison. Yes. And we are going to kick some.
Some butt?
Butt.
Yeah. I understand that the Jason that we were seeing on the floor today was...
Oh, Jacques Boucher.
Yeah.
Où est Jacques Boucher? No, yes, Jacques Boucher. He's a good friend of mine. He is a cosplayer without parallel, and he doesn't only do Jason. He does other characters as well. But I think he's a pretty darn
Very
good Jason Voorhees. Jacques Boucher, who lives in the woods of Canada. And, but we talk just about every day. And hey, how you doing? And he's going to be cosplaying Jason at the show. Which is,
That's not out of the ordinary at La Maison, I can tell you that. That's actually a regular Friday, Saturday. If anybody has been at La Maison, you know that.
Let's just, have a nice glass of wine and
He's a Chardonnay guy, right, Jason? So you play Jason Voorhees in the first movie, and you have First Jason the band, but you're also you're at a seniors residence in Chicago. Tell us about that.
We do senior services,
Yeah.
but it is a straight up 501c3 community center. It's a Filipino American center on the north side of Chicago, and I am the arts and activities director there. Primarily now we're doing bingo, and we have tango lessons, very popular, only $5, and food distribution. And so it's I wear many hats there, but I'm happy to say that I've been there for a year and things have changed a lot for the better. Chicago, I know many people say many things about Chicago, but I live on the north side, and it is a wonderful place to be. We're only about 10 blocks from Wrigley, so it's a Cubsy part of town, and we just have a lot of fun. And if you're ever in Chicago, come by Rizal Center, okay, and say Mabuhay, because that's where we're going to be, and we'll all have some lumpia and sit down and enjoy ourselves.
So you've become a true Chicagoan.
Oh man, well, yeah. Once you're Chicago, sweet home Chicago, what can I say? I love Chicago, there's no doubt about it. I will say this, that Chicago is a place where you can expand as an artist, and as long as you work hard and you present yourself in a professional way, and you get out there and kick some ass. Sorry, that's all the only way I can put it. That they will give you the respect for doing that. And That's really what it's about, and I do appreciate Chicago for giving me that opportunity, and the musicians there, and there's so much talent, and there's great food, and all kinds of great things to do there. But and you know, Betsy Palmer comes from like Gary, Indiana originally, so she's down
the road.
That's right. So she's kind of a Chicago girl herself to bring it all the way around back, circle around back. But I think that we all wonder, what does the future hold for Jason Voorhees? Because right now we're at a significant point in the history. I think that the video game, God bless the video game, it's certainly gotten a lot of attention, and it's gotten a lot of people to know about the scenarios, the characters, the locations, the costumes, everything in a meticulous manner, a very detailed manner. So I'd say, as I said to Tom Savini, that it's the interactions of the fans, especially the young fans, and that game that will determine the future for Friday the 13th, and that they are kind of writing the new script somehow, and that, like, for instance, Jason can't talk, but maybe he could text. You get a text message, it's like, I'm right behind you. LOL, JK. It's like, you could text. Somebody give him a phone. But who knows? I do think that without a doubt, there will be a feature film of Friday the 13th. There's no doubt that will happen. I can't tell you exactly when. And also, I know there's a Freddy versus Jason also kind of on in the process.
Excellent.
But before that, we have some other things, like Michael Myers made a movie. Don't forget about him, and he just with Jamie Lee Curtis herself, and the original Michael, Nick Castle, is playing Michael Myers. So
It looks good too.
I think so too.
There you go.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's something to look forward to, and we want them to do well. It doing well gave us a lot of a boost in the horror. And then our buddy there, Mr. Rob Zombie, just I don't know if they're wrapped on that 3 from Hell. That looks pretty good.
Definitely.
So that's the Devil's Rejects, the next take on Devil's Rejects. So everywhere there's all kinds of good things happening. But definitely come and see us at La Maison tonight, because if you're in this town and you can get in there, just come and see us. And if not, we're going to have videos up of it. And we're on YouTube, and you can see our music there. And I just want to say how happy I am to be here today. And just remember, Jason never dies. Okay.
There you go. Thanks, Ari. We appreciate you coming here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching the Convention Junkies coverage of the 2018 Cornwall Area Pop Event. Please like, comment and subscribe to see more. If you would like to help us with future projects, please visit our Patreon page.